and it's official. House Democrats taking the next step in their effort to impeach the President of the United States. The House Judiciary Committee will hold its next impeachment hearing on Monday, and Speaker Nancy Pelosi asking House Democrats to move full speed ahead with articles of impeachment. Watch.
The facts are uncontested. The president abused his power for his own personal political benefit at the expense of our national security, sadly, but with confidence and humility, with allegiance to our founders and a heart full of love for America. Today, I am asking our chairman to proceed with articles of impeachment. I commend our committee chairs and our members for their somber approach to actions which I wish the president had not made necessary.
Well, meanwhile, the president telling House Democrats to do it all as fast as they can so that the Senate can, quote, have a fair trial. To Edward Lawrence at the White House with more. Edward.
David, White House Press Secretary Stephanie Grisham says that the Democrats should be ashamed of themselves. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi outlined in her statement how the House is protecting the U.S. from threats foreign and domestic. She goes on to say that the House is protecting the U.S. Constitution. But listen to her answer when she was asked if she hated the president.
This is about the Constitution of the United States and the facts that lead to the president's violation of his oath of office. And as a Catholic, I resent your using the word hate in a sentence that addresses me. I don't hate anyone.
Today, with the Speaker announcement, she has weakened this nation.
And that's House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, Republican, saying this is all about politics. Now, advisors here at the White House hired to handle impeachment are turning this back on Democrats. Listen.
As the House is suggesting the president abused his power, it actually is the Speaker, Adam Schiff, and Jerry Nadler who are willing to abuse their power given to them as a House by the Constitution to impeach the president.
And the president says on Twitter this: it sets a dangerous precedent where impeachment will be used on a regular basis to attack future presidents. You see that tweet there. The president also saying on Twitter that during the Senate trial that they will call Hunter Biden, Adam Schiff, as well as House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, putting them all on the spot. And David, as you said, what's next? The 6 committees, according to the House Speaker, on Monday will start with their presentations. Back to you.
All right, Edward, thank you. So, as Edward just said, more action on Monday when the evidence is presented to the Judiciary Committee. So what does this mean for the timeline of the impeachment? House Judiciary Committee member, Colorado Republican Ken Buck, joining me now. Congressman, first of all, I'd like you to respond to what Speaker Pelosi said. She claims that the facts of this case are uncontested. How would you respond to that?
The facts of this case are based on hearsay, they're based on speculation, and they are absolutely contested. And the Speaker knows that. She believes that she can draw certain inferences from the testimony that was given. Nobody else believes that. At least I certainly don't believe that. I think as a prosecutor for 25 years, I want to see the facts, I want to see the documents, I want to see the people, and all of that is not present in this case.
Well, she is doing something that she has said repeatedly, beginning as early as last January, again in March, saying that she would not do what she has just said she will do, which is bring it to the floor for a vote, impeachment. She said she would not do that if it's a purely partisan issue. Is there any sign that this is anything other than a purely partisan issue? Any Republicans in the House who are going to vote for impeachment?
Well, what she said was it has to be compelling, clear, and bipartisan. It is not bipartisan, it is not clear, and it is not compelling. She is doing this purely for political purposes, and frankly, I believe the politics will blow up in her face next year. The Senate doesn't have to adopt the House narrative in this situation. The Senate can go with the truth. It can follow the witnesses. It can go down the path that the evidence takes it. And in this case, it's going to embarrass the Democrats who are in districts that President Trump won and will be on the ballot with President Trump. I think she has problems in her own caucus, frankly.
Well, you know the Speaker, you know the Democrats that come from red districts that voted for Donald Trump. What kind of pressure was imposed on the Speaker to make her change her position on voting for an impeachment that's purely partisan?
first, let me clarify something. I don't know the Speaker. I work with the Speaker. I have observed the Speaker. But I believe that the Speaker sees significant fundraising gains from what she is doing right now. I think she will pay the price down the road. I think she sees that she is strengthening her base and solidifying her base and helping whatever presidential candidate represents the Democrats in the next election. But I don't think that the folks in the middle, the American public, appreciates not moving on the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement, not trying to solve immigration, not trying to solve prescription drug price issues. Those are things the American public wants Congress to work on.
Well, she said again today that you can both investigate and legislate. You're saying that's not possible?
I think it is absolutely possible, but she's not doing it. There's a lot of things that are possible when you spend all of your time and energy dreaming up a factual situation to try, and frankly a legal standard, to try to impeach this president. You're not focused on the people's business.
Now, there were 2 Democrats who went with Republicans to vote against the impeachment inquiry. Will those 2 Democrats continue to vote against impeachment?
I haven't talked to them, but my guess is that you will see a double-digit number of Democrats who do not support the Speaker's position on impeachment, and you will see no Republicans who shift over to supporting the Speaker on this issue.
How about in the Senate? I know it's a different House, but do you think there are any Republican senators who will vote against the president when it comes to trial?
I haven't heard of any, and I would be very suspicious. There certainly won't be, in my opinion, a 2/3 majority to convict this president on the charges, the flimsy charges that have been brought against him.
And when do you think it's going to all be over?
I think this has to be over by the end of February. I think that the Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, will try to move this quickly, but there is a lot of investigation that's left to be done because the House hasn't done its job and hasn't fully developed the record.
Congressman Ken Buck, great to see you, Congressman. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you.